This is a Rogue Media Network podcast. This is Central Texas Life with Ann Harder.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Central Texas Life. And it is so fun to have Heather Renee May with us again here on the podcast. And you are an author.
Yes.
And you have a brand new book. It's called Cactus Cradle, a Texas Wine Trail series. This is the third
It is.
in your series. And man, what a fun read.
Oh, thank you.
It's unique in that it's kind of considered a tour guide to wineries, Texas wineries, with a novel wrapped in it.
Yes.
It's just really a lot of fun.
Yes, it was a lot of fun to write as well because getting to entice people to go to Fredericksburg in the Hill Country and visit these real wineries and promote Texas wine, but in a fun story. That's just, yeah.
Well, it's awesome. And in fact, some of the locations that you visited in this third book of the trilogy, Adega Vinho, and Stonewall, Stonewall, and A La Campagna.
Yes.
Archway Resort and Winery, Fredericksburg Trade Days, Jack's Chop House, and the list goes on.
Yes, and actually, between the three books, I think there's something like 25 wineries and then like other restaurants and destinations and businesses. So I do try to support the local businesses. I don't really plan ahead of time where like the characters kind of just, I'm writing the story and it makes sense to go here or there. And then I go and do the tastings and then I put that into the book. So it's just been kind of a fun, like little surprise for people when the book comes out and they're like, oh, we were in there. That's so nice.
Yeah, that's right. Not too long ago. Well, Fredericksburg has changed so much it seems like just recent years with the explosion of wineries.
There's over 65 wineries on Highway 290. I mean,
that's incredible.
It is incredible. And when you turn from Johnson City and you go and it's like what used to be some farmland, now I mean it's just vineyard. I mean, it's really kind of incredible.
Yeah. Well, so what got you interested in this?
It's actually a COVID project. So I was living in my 18-foot travel trailer with my dog, quarantined in Spicewood.
Right.
And it was the holidays and I was watching Hallmark and I was like, oh gosh, I want to read a story about a woman who goes wine tasting and here in the Hill Country and maybe she saves herself, but maybe she gets the good guy too. And so I thought, well, let me try to write 1,000 words a day. And challenge myself to do something positive during this time.
Right, because just sitting around in the meantime,
and so I did, and like 2 months later, I sent off my first draft to my editors in New York, and then the first book came out, and then the second, and it just ended up being this kind of a thing. I wasn't really sure I was going to write a series to begin with, but it was really just like I'd always wanted to write a fiction novel. I always wanted to write like a Hallmark-like series. And so...
and it is. The characters are lovely, yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. People really they're like, where's Kate? I need to find out what's going on with Kate. And like, it's just really fun to see like people identify.
Well, now you say my editors, so, a lot of authors, they have a hard time finding editors. Were you already writing?
No, so I did all of this. I actually, so I'm self-published, but I created my own publishing company, Mayday Publishing, if it didn't work. Mayday. And I found New York book editors. I hire them, and I actually have the same team for each book. So I have a really great cover artist.
It is. Yeah,
she makes the most amazing covers, and they all flow together from book to book.
Great. That's great.
And then her daughter draws the illustrations that are in each chapter, hand draws those. And then I have my New York book editors. They do my, Megan McKeever does my structural line editing. I have a few different passes. I have other proofreaders that I hire after that.
It takes a team,
does.
Obviously, to do
if you want to do it right.
Right.
And I really wanted a book that could be on the table at Barnes & Noble, which it has been, next to other books that are bestsellers and really, hold its weight.
Oh,
so
no question. And because of its local appeal with Texas and, with just the popularity of wine in the last several years.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really fun. So when I first wrote Cactus Christmas, the first book,
Uh-huh.
and I was telling people about it, marketing it, and they were like, Texas has a wine trail? And I was like,
No, they
okay.
didn't know that.
And this was only in 20.
I was going to say, not that long ago.
No, it came out 2021. 2021 was the first book, October. So that really shocked me. And also, I didn't really know either. And then people were like, well, Texas wine, it's that sweet. It's just for bachelorette parties. It's sweet wine.
Really? Yeah.
So, yeah, getting to dig in and talk to these families, I actually get Texas Heritage Vineyard, where they meet, my characters meet, is one of I'm also a club member there. Really good friends with Susan and Billy. They let me go into the vineyards, talk to Tyler, the winemaker, ask all the questions.
Oh, it's a fascinating subject.
Yeah.
I mean,
and
it really is. There's so much to learn.
There is, and I think people get intimidated.
Well, but
right?
I have found when I have visited wineries how willing they are to educate.
Absolutely. And a lot of varietals that we have here in Texas, because our terroir is really difficult to grow, and it takes a lot of grit. I mean, it really is farming. And so it's not like California, where you just drop some seeds in the ground.
I know,
and
with the mist and all that,
Yeah.
whatever
Well, yeah.
whatever their
Yeah.
their special thing is,
Yeah,
in the Napa Valley. I mean, they can do that.
Exactly. And we just
It's a
don't
little
have
more like
that
Spain here.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is. And a lot of our varietals, I was introduced to. I'd never heard of. I've been a wine drinker my whole life. Grew up in the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah.
Never heard of Morved. Never heard of Alicante Boucher. Never heard, so a lot of these different varietals I was able to put in the book. And the fun part of it is like, I wanted it to be approachable. So a lot of times people read the book and then they'll go to that winery and they'll be, I want this
one.
Texican. I want this,
Yeah.
this vintage. And the wineries love it because they're like, yeah, let me tell you, well, we don't have this anymore, but let's tell you what our latest release is. Or why don't you try this? And so it's been really fun. And I also, beyond just the winemaking and the grit and the farming and the growers and all the issues with, up in the high plains with the pesticides and all the different things, the herbicides that have been going on. But then there's also sorry, I just lost my train of thought.
That's okay.
Going off
I do it all the
into
time. Is it all that wine we drink?
Yeah, maybe I didn't drink enough before this. No.
We should have had a bottle.
Exactly. Oh, I should have brought you a bottle of Texas wine. What was I thinking? Okay, next time.
Really?
Next time. Yeah. Like,
What were you thinking?
sorry, Ann. But yeah, I think there's so much that goes into it, and I think that like giving people an opportunity to really understand the larger picture of Texas wine, and then being able to go and support these families and go and support the growers and everything. So
Yeah, because it's a family endeavor so many of the time.
it is 100%, and small families, like a lot of the wine club members are the ones that are helping harvest. Like I've hand harvested Merlot grapes, and like we get the call in our emails like, hey, we're harvesting, we need volunteers.
Yeah.
So
locally here at Valley Mills Vineyard, I know they do that. I've had the chance to do a couple of stories at
fun,
Florence, down at Florence, and Valley Mills. Much more local than the Fredericksburg ones that you kind of have been focusing on. But in all three of your books, your Cactus series, you've done a lot of different. So.
Yeah.
Although they're in the Fredericksburg area, or do you venture?
It depends. The characters mainly have been based between Austin and the Hill Country.
Okay.
And so there are some restaurants, I think, in book 2 that are in the Austin area. There's some stuff in Spicewood, Stonewall. There's kind of book 4, if it comes out, if I do book 4.
I was going to say, you're already looking ahead. That's good.
I don't want to do a spoiler alert, but there's going to be more travel outside. Book 2 had some RV travel to the Pacific Northwest. So there were some locations there.
Well, that's neat.
RV life. So I do try it, and people ask me all the time, like, you need to cover this, you need to cover that.
Right.
So it's kind of hard. I started it in the kind of the niche of the Hill Country. And, I know what I was going to say earlier. In book 3, I really dug deeper. So like book 1 was the tasting rooms. Book 2 was like the grit and the farming and the issues with like, weather and
Weather
all
and-
the
right.
stuff. And then book 3 goes deeper into the issues that are really going on, that have been going on, the water shortage, drought, the land over, all the people coming in, and the aquifer and what it can really withstand. And there's some, I try to put as much truth and stories in
Sure.
within the story so that people learn about it in a way that's not boring. But
Yeah.
they're in the characters are doing this stuff. I mean, the characters are totally fictional, but the issues are real. And so, I think that it's really fun to be able to help highlight and show those things and talk about the community and talk about, how folks could work together. But, book 3 is the mystery on the wine trail, and,
Yeah.
everyone pointing fingers at the outsiders that aren't from Texas. And so, it's been really fun to kind of tease that through the story.
Right. And let's talk about your characters. Our main protagonist is Kate.
Yes.
And she's a divorcee.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't had the chance to
haven't-
read your
yeah.
first 2 books, so I don't know what led
So-
up to this. All I've got is this
yeah.
one right now.
Sure. And hopefully, I've written it well enough that you could enjoy book 3.
Oh,
and then
yeah,
you can
no.
go back and do the others.
Right,
if you want.
and
Yeah.
I definitely want to do that. But yeah, no, it was easy enough to pick up the storyline and where we are and who her relatives and
Yeah.
a new amore,
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah,
All the things. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Kate actually in book 1 is going through a difficult separation. She's a New York Times bestselling author. Her first book was a huge success. The second one was a flop.
Oh.
And now she's like struggling with this separation, with a very difficult separation. And so her friend Caroline, who's very Southern and sassy, Caroline says, listen, I hear there's a place you can rent Airstream trailer in the hill country of Texas, and maybe you could finish writing your book there. And if you don't get inspired by cowboys and Airstream, then maybe you shouldn't write.
yeah.
So Kate's like, okay, I'll do that. So she goes, rents this Airstream trailer, which really does exist. These Airstreams are at open air resort. And she writes the book. And she goes on a tasting and she meets Zach. And Zach is a doctor from the Northeast scouting for a winery to invest in. And so they decide to pal together for a week, and they go to all these tastings. And as the wine's flowing, the conversation's flowing. And just as it's heating up, he has to head back to the Northeast because there's an emergency. And they decide to not exchange information because she's going through her
Oh.
difficult time. And he's already been there. He's on the other side, many years of being divorced. And they just kind of decide it's a moment, and if they're meant to meet, then maybe they'll meet. So it's kind of a serendipity thing.
Yes. Yeah.
So the big question in book 1 is, do they run into each other? Do they meet again? Does she finish her book? All the things. And then, book 2 goes further into the story of, spoiler alert, his tasting room in downtown Fredericksburg.
Yeah.
More about her and her sister, their dynamics, their relationship. His daughter Chloe comes into the picture.
Right. She's in the picture.
Yeah, and so the wedding, Cactus Wedding, is the second book, and so it's all around love and wedding, but it's not the wedding you think that's going to happen. And then Cactus Cradle continues the story where it's the mystery on the trail, and Kate has a really great opportunity, but it means it's going to take her from the hill country and away from Zach. And so does she do that? Does she take that chance? And so there's a lot going on as well with family and community and all the things.
Yeah. Enough of a cliffhanger that it's there's definitely a book 4.
Thank you.
I hope.
Yes. I have to decide. I might do book 4 maybe in a different format, maybe just ebook and do it like release chapters and do it that way, because I am going to be traveling a lot in my RV, and I think that.
Okay. Well, let's talk about that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because you're no stranger to a little bit of a nomad
Yes.
lifestyle.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I was in the trailer in Spicewood when I wrote book 1. Ended up loving it. I sold my house in Alabama and moved full time into this 18-foot trailer. And then I ended up bumping it up to a 22-foot. Then I ended up bumping up to a 29-foot fifth wheel.
Wow.
This is over a few years period of times. And I was traveling, doing a loop around the United States, visiting friends, visiting family. Then I had some issues with the fifth wheel. I had to come somewhere where it wouldn't rain for 8 weeks, and I came here to Waco. And
Now, I remember you telling me it was just sort of by happenstance.
yeah.
You happen to be here.
And I mean, I have deep roots on my dad's side of the family here, but no one living here.
Right,
presently.
right.
And so came here, stayed at Camp Finfo, got the roof fixed. And then at that point, I just I needed a break, and so I bought a house in Hewitt and sold the rig, sold the truck, and now 2 years later, itching to travel, itching again.
Yeah, that bug.
Oh, I love RV life. I love the community. I really I love Waco and Hewitt and the fact that it's a 15-minute town, and I love all the,
Isn't that the truth?
you know, it is.
It's
just,
great.
It is just such, I mean, when I just got back from Dallas last night and going through that traffic in Denton, I just thought,
Yeah.
oh, I'm so
Or
glad.
Houston or Austin,
Yeah.
San Antonio. I mean, but we're close enough to go and enjoy
Exactly.
what's happening there and then come home.
You can tap in and then tap out.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, you know, as much as I love that, I think, you know, I was like, I want to be on the road. I had this vision to do an RV book tour this time and to be in a rig and to wrap it and to drive around and make an experience for people where I'd go to an RV resorts and they could stay, and we'd do bingo games and book signings and campfire sessions. And so that apparently is going to happen.
That is awesome.
We're about to kick this off Friday or tomorrow.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
Or anyway, but for the next few months, we're going to be, you know, doing that. And then, you know, moving in to the next year, I think I'm going to continue traveling. I'd like to head to Florida and do some time in Florida at St. Augustine. And
Oh, what a beautiful town.
yeah.
Oh, you are going to love St. Augustine.
Yeah.
Have you been there before? I mean, I take it
have.
you have been there.
I have. There is a resort that I love. It's north of St. Augustine, North Coast Beach Resort, I think it's called, where my friends and I would meet. They have a little Airstream trailer. Their trailer is actually the inspiration for the trailer in,
For, oh,
in
really?
the book.
For
in
the book,
one.
yeah. That's right here on the cover.
Yeah, yeah. And so we would meet there, and it is, you can watch the sunset on the bay side at their restaurant when the sailboat's going by.
Yeah.
Walk across to the ocean and watch the moonrise over the ocean. It is the most gorgeous place. I love it. So
I see why I know why people retire
yeah,
to Florida. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just
it really
an amazing
is.
place.
It really is. And hopefully they didn't get damaged. I know my friends in North Carolina right now. Oh, I feel so
Oh,
bad.
North Carolina has
Yeah.
been devastated.
And I love the Carolinas. I do want to go to. I
Oh,
love
you have another
Charleston.
beautiful,
I love you know,
beautiful part of the country for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. Well, and so
Yeah.
you've got that flexibility to.
I do. I work. I mean, my day job. I'm still at Stitch Fix, so you know, as an engineer, so I work full time remotely, and I've been there. I just celebrated 7 years.
Really?
So, yeah.
Yeah.
So that allows me the ability to be able to travel around as long as I have Wi-Fi.
That's
and-
right. You can do
Yeah.
your job and
Mhm.
and enjoy, really making those connections again with friends and family that.
Yeah, and just the people in the community and the park. I mean, I think it can be kind of overwhelming, all the people, because when you're in a park and it's crowded and everyone is kind of in your business and it's kind of they're right there, and it can be a lot for an introvert. But but the flip side of that is there are so many wonderful people that you can talk to and have these conversations, or help you out with mechanical things, or you give them advice about something, or your dogs get to meet and play, and it just on a daily basis that I think I've really missed out on. And so I'm really excited to lean back into that lifestyle again. And
But this, you're keeping your house. You're not
keeping-
totally.
I'm keeping
pulling
my
up
house.
stakes.
I am actually Airbnb-ing it right now while I'm
good.
gone, so that
Why
other
not?
people can enjoy. And it's crazy that how many people are, how many things are going on in Waco that
Oh
people
my
are coming to
gosh.
travel in for. It's really
Oh,
fun.
yeah.
So yeah, so it's,
I have a whole podcast, Central Texas Events.
Yeah,
so I know.
yeah. I mean,
because there's a lot
the
of stuff happening
triathlon,
here.
all the things that go on here.
Well,
it's
and
just
it's
like,
there's just something special that's happening in Waco that is bringing people here. It's a kind of a phenomenon that's
It
been
is.
interesting.
It is.
And you a little bit by happenstance, in a way.
Yeah, absolutely. Although whenever I was traveling in my RV, I always came through Waco. I have a
Well, yeah.
magnet every year in Waco, and Dottie and I would go to the silos, and I think I love any place that has that entrepreneurial spirit.
Yeah.
Not just
Oh, it
Magnolia,
definitely
but
is.
just, there's people they're working hard, they're living their dreams, they're, there's just such a strong community here with that as well. So
Yeah. Well, it's just so exciting how you've taken a passion for wine and for Texas.
Yes.
Well, and been able to make it an educational book and a fun read. I just think that combination is so unique and
you.
so entertaining for folks. Cactus Cradle. a Texas Wine Trail series. And so all of these books are available
On Amazon.
Amazon.
All 3 of the books are now available, ebook and paperback. Books 1 and 2 are on audiobook. Book 3 will be on audiobook in the next couple months. I
So
need
do you
time.
record it?
I do.
Really?
I do. I really enjoy when the authors read their books because
I do too.
you know, it's like they know the nuance, they know the characters, how they should sound, and so yeah, I enjoy that.
Yeah.
And so it takes a little bit for me to get that so that might be my project in St. Augustine to read it while I'm having my beach time, but yeah, and
It just sounds like living the life. I mean, really.
it is. It really, you know, I'm really, really grateful. I think it's a lot of work. I will not lie.
I was going to say,
it
I mean, when
is
you were
tremendous.
wrangling that fifth wheel, I mean, I can imagine that was a lot of work.
It's tremendous. I can tell you right now, like RV life is not for the faint-hearted.
Right.
And I bought a 20-year-old RV for this endeavor, for this book tour, and wrapped it. I just got it back from the mechanic.
So,
Still have issues and things that I'm having to fix myself.
Oh.
I do a lot of stuff myself. So it's like there's a lot of logistics. There's a lot going on. But I think that again, it's if you're passionate about traveling and having your home. I mean, there's just nothing better than having your home on wheels, and you can go travel around and see places, and then you just pop right in and cook a meal, and you're just everything is right there. And I mean, part of this for me, my introduction was COVID because we couldn't go out, right? Like you couldn't go to hotels, you couldn't do things. But now I still love it. I mean, I love to travel. I go to hotels still too, but like I just love my RV life.
well, you mentioned Camp Femfo, and that really just sort of sprang up because of the
Yeah.
COVID thing, and people were buying these travel trailers, and they were
they
getting
still
into that
are.
lifestyle. It's a huge thing.
They still are. And
Yeah.
campsites, it's hard to find campsites. There's
Is it really?
so much.
Yeah. Well, can be a problem. How do you sort of plan ahead for
You
that?
do a lot of planning. I'm also a Harvest Host member, and Harvest Host is where you can boondock at like wineries in different places. So you're not necessarily connected to electric, but I have a generator and I have a way to, you know, manage things. So you get a different experience as well, which is really fun. So I've been a member since I started, and so I like to, you know, mix it up. If I'm doing just an overnight traveling, I'll try to hit a Harvest Host. If I'm going to be somewhere longer, then I'll go to more of a resort and do something for a week, or like a state park. There's other really great campgrounds here around Waco as well, and like Army Corps campgrounds.
Oh, yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Have you been to Glen Rose? I mean, I'm just how
I
where
haven't
the
yet, but I've
dinosaur.
heard of it. Yeah.
Oh, they're. I did a story on it, and I'm just saying, there are areas where you can shower and all that kind of stuff. I know you've got probably got all that
Yeah.
in
yeah.
what your thing, but for folks who do camp, and it's like the Taj Mahal. I mean, it's really nice.
That's
so
so nice.
so I know people in that lifestyle. They're always looking for the really good places to camp, and Glen Rose's Dinosaur Valley State Park is good.
Yeah, it's definitely on my list to visit. There's
Yeah,
so
I don't know
many.
about wineries up in that neck of the woods. I'm not sure.
aren't
There probably are.
Aren't they close to Granbury?
Yeah.
Yeah, and Granbury has a great like little winery place downtown. I play
Yeah,
fiddle
yeah.
there sometimes. So like, yeah, there's so many places. The hard part about not being retired and living this lifestyle is I don't have all the time in the world to do. So I have a bucket list whenever I go places,
Right.
and people tell me things. I put it on my list because someday I will be retired.
I will do that.
and then I will go. I'll enjoy it.
Oh, well, it's a delight to talk to you, Heather, because and to see your creativity and it come to fruition in book number 3
Book number
of a
3.
continuing trilogy. I'm gonna go say a
Okay, yes,
continuing
yes.
series of the Texas Wine Trail, and we got to find out what's going on with Kate after her
Gotta find out exactly.
her adventure. So yeah.
And I think I wanted to note too, and just for folks listening that wonder about, I mean, the book, it is very much a Hallmark story. It's very much G-rated. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
it's a contemporary romance, but it's very much, very I don't know.
Yeah.
It's not racy at all. And actually, men have read it. They really enjoy it. I mean, it's informative with the wine trail.
It certainly is. Yeah.
So,
Give you all kinds of ideas. Just get a little sticky note and tab, the different
Yeah. Oh, and
different wineries you want to stop at.
exactly. And in the back of each book, I list all the locations in every
Yeah,
book.
right.
So,
Yeah, I've got it right
and
here.
there's some blank pages in this one that you could make notes. So you could take the book with you on a tasting and then make notes. So, or
You
pass
thought
it
of
along.
everything.
Yeah, I've tried. I love the idea of bringing people. I want it to be more than a book. I want people to experience. I want people to fall in love with the hill country, and just Texas and the
Yeah.
whole story and just everything about it, and to come experience it in whatever
Well,
way.
if you've ever visited there and don't fall in love with it, there's something wrong.
Yes.
Bernie is one of my favorite places.
Yes.
Love Bernie.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. There's just so many wonderful places. Again,
Yeah.
I could write hundreds of books with all of the content, all of the places. I mean,
know
and
you
maybe
could.
I will. I don't know.
And maybe you will.
Maybe I will.
Oh, so you're going to take some books with you? You're going to have them to sell?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's
Yep.
good.
Yep. And I'm going to be traveling around. I've got a bunch of things coming up the next few months of, events and things that are on my website that people can find out about. And then, you can always reach out to me
Yeah.
if you want a signed copy of a book. Reach out to me through my website, and I'm more than happy to just tell you what the postage is, and we'll ship it off to you. And it makes a really lovely gift.
Wonderful gift, especially for the wine lover in your life. What is that website?
It's heatherreneemay.com. So it's Heather, RENEEMAY, like the month.com.
Very good, very good. Well, get a copy today because Cactus Cradle is a great, and it's one you're gonna keep. It's not one you're gonna take to Golden's Book Exchange in a little while because it is a little bit like a textbook,
Yeah.
or at least a guide,
Yeah.
a guide to the Texas hill country wineries.
Thank you so much.
So much fun.
Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for being with us for Central Texas Life. Have a good day. Bye bye.
Central Texas Life with Ann Harder is part of the Rogue Media family. Be sure to check out our other shows at roguemedianetwork.com. Please rate this show 5 stars on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, or anywhere you get your podcasts. Join us again soon for more Central Texas Life with Ann Harder. This has been a Rogue Media Network